The Institute for the Study of Peak States presents the 5th International Psychoimmunology and Psychobiology Research Symposium. In this video, ISPS highlights by Shane Mackenzie, CEO.
So let me get into just some of the highlights for the past 12 months. So our organisation has always predominantly been a research organisation, but there are kind of four key areas to our organisation. So the research, as I mentioned, all of them are volunteer researchers that absolutely dedicated to the core purpose of what our organisation is all about. Some of the common kind of degrees that the people in the research team, whether it's medicine or psychology or science, and as I briefly mentioned, our research is very much a biology-based model. So that's how, with that model, it's how we're able to work out what's the root cause of many of the issues that we're actually trying to address. We then have a small training team. They're very long-term committed therapists in our organisation, very experienced. They've been around with the Institute for a very long time, but also pretty much see themselves, here for life with the Institute, given how much they value the work that we're doing, the difference we make in the world. Very effective therapists. In the training, when they're doing demonstrations, they pretty much have to be able to, on the spot, help any of the students that volunteer. So they're really effective therapists. And they're also part of the team that independently certifies the graduates of our training. So the person who certifies them is a different person to the person that actually trained them. Then we've got nearly 70 therapists around the world. So maybe about half of them kind of independent therapists. So they're really interested in our work. They kind of follow our guidelines around things that we expect, things like, pay for results and other things that are requirements of our certification. And so they're helping their clients with trauma therapy issues or helping a different type of client get into peak states of consciousness. They're kind of the two key areas that they work on. And then we've had clinic treatments in the past that have been based on our psychoimmunology approach. So something like Asperger's syndrome, we've had a treatment for that for quite a while, probably at least 10 years. Whereas our clinics are now going to be transforming more into our psychoimmunology treatments and medical diseases. So autism, chronic fatigue syndrome, chronic Lyme disease, type 1 diabetes, OCD, Parkinson's disease, traumatic brain injury. These are the kind of things that are new clinics, and so we're going to be talking about that over the coming days. None of this would be possible if it wasn't for our founder, Dr. Grant McFedridge. So he started out as an engineer from Stanford, which has probably been quite useful for him to make breakthroughs in this medical area, because he hasn't had the same model of the world as far as what might be the cause of medical issues. So very much taking a whole model approach like you would in engineering. When he chose this different path, he then went on to get a PhD in psychology and established the Institute about 25 years ago. He's the author of many of the books that kind of discussing many of the breakthroughs that he's identified, along with the volunteer research team on the journey. And from a personal perspective, the thing that kind of started this all was he was always in this state that Native Americans call beauty way until he was about 29 years old. And, being in this state and kind of wondering, what he wanted to do in the world as a 15-year-old, was kind of wondering how he could help others. Started his adult career in the engineering field, but then when he lost that state at 29, it kind of brought back those initial memories as a teenager around how to help people in the world, and figured if I can work out how to get this beauty way state back, that would be amazing to actually give that to others as well. And so in trying to pursue that goal, he's made amazing breakthroughs along the way, which some of which we're going to share today. So our research focus for the past 4 years has largely been on how do we improve our psychoimmunology treatments. So it was early 2020, and around the time that COVID, it was clear that it was becoming a pandemic. And so we started to, Grant was going to start psychoimmunology research kind of later that year, and that kind of brought the plans forward. So COVID was one of the things that we attempted to develop a treatment for, and it turned out to be really complex. But we learned a lot from that. We believed in that first 12 months or so that we developed a good framework. We kind of understood what the key trauma that we needed to be able to, from a framework perspective, how to develop a new treatment, and started developing some protocol treatments. And the early kind of framework we had back then, we then taught to about a dozen of our therapists, hoping that they would then be able to take that psychoimmunology knowledge and start developing treatments themselves. Because for a long time, it's just been a really small group. And at the moment, that's Grant, Kirsten, and Mary that we rely on for the breakthrough. So we were hoping to kind of get a little bit more scale, have more people. And it turned out that while they understood the knowledge really well, it takes some very unique, very rare states of consciousness to actually apply it really accurately, and lots of healing to make sure that you're able to do that consistently and effectively. So in the end, we kind of pulled back again and just had the core research team of Grant, Kirsten, and Mary doing the breakthroughs, and the applied research had a smaller applied research team over the last 9 or 10 months have been then testing those initial prototypes and kind of giving feedback on what worked. Is there anything we need to do to make this simpler? And so they've been doing those kind of phase 1 trials, and then the certified therapists have then been doing the phase 2 clinical trials. I guess a lot of this kind of has been built on the foundations of our earlier research team. That was back then, it was predominantly psychobiology stuff that we were working on then, but they've laid a really good foundation for us to now get these amazing breakthroughs from a psychoimmunology perspective. In some of the other areas of our business, so we've got a small training team, just the 4 of us at the moment, but we are training some others that we hope in the next year or so are also going to become trainers for us. We've got Naomi here in Australia. So she's been predominantly focused on training therapists in Russia and other countries that speak Russian with translation. A similar sort of thing in German as well. She speaks German though, and English as well for the trainings that she does in Australia and New Zealand. We've got Agata in the Canary Islands. She's Polish, so she predominantly delivers training in Polish. She has delivered a training in Spanish as well, and like all of our trainers, speaks English too. So I'm based here in Australia at the moment. I've predominantly been doing trainings in the Americas, in the UK, a bit in Europe, and a little bit in Australia as well. And then Celine in Switzerland, predominantly doing trainings in French, but a little bit in English as well. So then with our certified therapists all over the world, so we've got nearly 70 certified therapists spread around in 15 different countries and 12 different languages, so a very global team. And so I guess where our key focus is now, as far as what's the future that we're planning for, the big focus for us now is, I guess, leveraging the psychoimmunology research that we've been really focused on the last few years, and now starting to transition this into actually releasing those psychoimmunology treatments, particularly the medical disease treatments. So this year we're planning on traumatic brain injury, Lyme disease, chronic fatigue syndrome. At this stage, we're planning probably ready for around November. Possibility autism and Parkinson's disease, similar sort of time, or maybe soon after that. We've been researching BDUA obviously for 30 years. We're getting very, very close to cracking that. We've been saying that for a while, but we really are getting very close. Type 1 diabetes is we've done some research on that. It's one that we're really is key in that it'll be one of the easiest ones for us to demonstrate from a medical perspective that this stuff really works. Obsessive compulsive disorder, we've done some research, and we need to do some more research on that for it to be ready in the near future. COVID, I said, was the first one we worked on. So if we'd need to go back and do some more research around that with the latest breakthroughs that we've made to come up with something that was quite stable. And smoking addiction, we've researched as well. Things that we've kind of done a little bit of preliminary research on, or we've kind of got on our to-do list, would include Alzheimer's and dementia, HIV, hemophilia, multiple sclerosis. But there's such a long list now that we know that this framework that we've got for how to develop these treatments almost could be just about any medical disease that's not a genetic disorder. You know, this stuff's addressing epigenetics, not genetics. Okay, so if you want to learn more about our organisation, we've got our main website. Our research website is peakstates.com. Our training website is subcellularpsychobiology.com. That's the kind of name of that new science that is the underpinning of how to diagnose and release the trauma symptoms, whether it's for trauma issues or peak states or the clinical diseases that we're developing treatments for now. The clinic treatments at the moment has just got our psychobiology treatments up there, peakstatesclinics.com, but we're going to end up with a new website for the new medical disease clinic treatments that we're coming up with. And then our therapy website, peakstatestherapy.com, where you can see a long list of the types of issues that our certified therapists can address with, as well as all of our certified therapists being listed there, and you can find them kind of by country. You can find recordings of past symposiums and other videos that we've done on our YouTube channel, Institute Peak States, and our Facebook page, Peak States Therapy. And if you wanted to contact me personally, my email is Shane with a Y at peakstates.com.
Thank you for watching. For more information, please visit www.peakstates.com.